Hi everyone, I'm Andy. Welcome to Andy's Mindscape. Today we explore a case that remains one of history's most baffling mysteries. Unlike common cold cases where killers vanish, this one is unique because police were absolutely certain they had their man. On Wednesday, the 26th of April 1871, at 4:15 a.m., Police Constable Donald Gunn was patrolling his beat in Kidbrooke Lane, London. 2 hours earlier, Gunn had passed this exact spot and the muddy path had been completely empty and silent. Suddenly, Gunn spotted a dark shape in the middle of the road. It looked like a bundle of old rags. Approaching closer, he realized it wasn't rags, but a woman lying face down, emitting a low, agonizing moaning sound. Thinking she was merely intoxicated, Gunn turned her over. The sight that met his eyes made his pupils shrink in horror. The girl's face was a mask of blood, with several deep, jagged gashes across her forehead and her skull. Gunn immediately carried her to the roadside and sprinted toward a nearby manor farm to find help for the victim. Luckily, he encountered his colleague Frederick Haynes. Gunn gasped out the details and told him to guard the scene. When Haynes arrived at the spot, he found large bloodstains and a series of chaotic footprints in the mud. The evidence suggested a violent struggle. Nearby, Haynes found a pair of ladies' gloves and a black rose hat. Gunn soon returned with more officers and a stretcher to transport the unconscious girl to the nearby guy's hospital. At the hospital, surgeons cleaned her wounds, but their expressions quickly turned to grim looks of utter hopelessness. The girl had over a dozen blunt force impacts. Her skull was shattered in multiple places. Survival was a medical impossibility. Haynes searched her belongings, finding only a blue purse containing 11 shillings, 4 pence, and 2 small keys. The presence of the money ruled out robbery as a motive. The police now faced a bigger question: who was she? Haynes sent her blood-stained clothes to the local station to be publicly displayed, hoping someone would recognize the victim. That afternoon, Haynes returned to Kidbrooke Lane to check on the forensics, but he was met with a disaster. The crime scene was a mess. Footprints were trampled by officials and 2 different police departments were clashing over jurisdiction. Confusion led to the loss of vital evidence. A metal whistle found at the scene was casually discarded. Officer Willis of the Lear station thought the whistle was irrelevant and left it in a drawer, nearly forgotten. By the 27th of April, the case's brutality forced Scotland Yard to take over, sending detectives Mulvaney and Griffin to Eltham. They immediately received a crucial piece of evidence: a 16-inch hammer found in a flower bed near the scene. A gardener at Morden College named Thomas Brown had discovered it while watering flowers and reported it to police. The hammer bore a manufacturer's mark, J. Sorby. This lead brought the detectives to Samuel Thomas' tool shop. The shopkeeper and his wife claimed they couldn't remember selling it, but their ledger told a very different story. A record from the 22nd of April showed a hammer sale. Yet, the couple stubbornly insisted they had no memory of the buyer. On the 30th of April, Maria Clausen passed away. A post-mortem revealed a shocking detail. She was 2 months pregnant. Desperate, police published a description: 25 years old, brown hair, wearing a chocolate, striped dress, and a rose embroidered hat. A man named William Trott saw the notice. He feared the victim was his niece, though she was only 17. On May 1, Trott identified the body by a unique birthmark. The victim was confirmed as Maria Clausen, a housemaid. Maria was an orphan raised by Trott. She had recently been working as a servant for the Pook family. Head of the Pook house was Ebenezer Pook, a successful printer. They were a respectable middle-class family in Eltham. Ebenezer had 2 sons. The younger, Edmund Pook, was 20 years old but lived under his parents' strict supervision. Edmund suffered from epilepsy, which made his parents watch him constantly. However, Maria had a secret connection to him. Trott revealed that Maria had claimed she was engaged to Edmund and even showed him a silver engagement necklace. Detectives Mulvaney and Griffin visited the Pook home. Ebenezer was outraged and shocked by the allegations against his son. Ebenezer claimed Maria was dirty and slovenly, insisting a refined boy like Edmund would never be involved with her. Edmund denied everything, calling Maria a disgusting girl. He claimed he was elsewhere during the time of the murder. Despite no warrant, detectives demanded to see Edmund's clothes. They found a shirt with a suspicious red stain on the cuff. Edmund was arrested, but the investigation was messy, and the Pook family hired a brilliant, ruthless lawyer named Henry. In court, the prosecution called Walter Perrin, a local entertainer who claimed he saw Edmund buy the murder hammer. However, the tool shop owner, Thomas, testified that they didn't even sell the type of nails Perrin had bought. The defense then proved two identical hammers were sold that week, casting doubt on whether Edmund's hammer was the weapon. Next, the prosecution brought up the whistle found at the scene. A girl named Alice said Edmund always used one. But the defense pounced on the police's poor record-keeping, suggesting the whistle was planted 3 weeks after the crime. Finally, forensic evidence showed human hair on Edmund's pants that matched Maria's. The defense had a simple explanation for this. She was their maid. Her hair being on his clothes was natural. The jury took only 20 minutes to find him innocent. Edmund eventually married Alice and moved away, living to age 70. The case of Maria Clausen was never officially solved. Hi, I'm Andy. I believe the police were right. Edmund was likely the killer, despite the jury's verdict of innocence. Walter Perrin had no motive to lie. The fact his nails didn't match only suggests the shopkeepers were protecting the Pooks. The whistle's late entry wasn't a plant, but a result of police incompetence. Why record it late if you are faking it? Maria had been gone for 3 weeks before the murder. Her hair shouldn't have been on his freshly washed pants. Motive was simple: Maria pregnancy. A middle-class family like the Pooks could never accept a servant as a daughter-in-law. To avoid a scandal that would ruin their reputation, a permanent and violent solution was chosen on that dark night. The shopkeepers likely knew the Pooks through the printing business. Their forgetfulness feels like a calculated, protective lie. Justice was subverted by a combination of police blunders and the power of a wealthy family protecting their own son. Maria Clausen's story remains a tragic reminder that sometimes the truth is known, but the law is simply powerless. That's all for today. I'm Andy. If you enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe. See you next time on Andy's Mindscape.